Jim, you came up from, you have a question, call the question.
Okay, yes, sure. So, good morning.
Great.
How are you?
Let's start, our session now.
So, morning. How are you today? Good Sunday, good Saturday, not Sunday. Wow, I forgot Sunday. Anyway, so welcome. So I'll be teaching the first. You'll be seeing the next semester, this semester actually. So my name is James Choi. So I'll be teaching 541 is systems, software standards and requirements. My phone number, office hours, email address, etc. So if you're online, wanna have any question during my presentation, which will 10-15 minutes, so you can drop the message to Zoom, so you can someone will read here and relate the questions to me. So. Oh, okay. So let me briefly give you the background on this course. So some of you might know a very important person in software engineering called F.B. Brooks. So he was the project manager, professor for University of North Carolina. And being an academic, he authored many different papers. Here are two papers that I'd like to mention. One is called Immutable Amendment. The other one is called No Silver Bullet. So you'll be probably reading these papers during the course in next semester. So what he said was more important. So he said the single hardest part of building software system is deciding exactly what to build. Right? And no other parts of work is cripple this resulting system if it is done wrong. So if you do initially wrong, basically the entire system is not good, obviously. And no other parts is difficult to rectify later. So once you start wrong, obviously it's very hard to rectify later, right? So then, moreover, sorry, what he said, moreover, what he said was to understand and control the failure to understand and control requirements. What we call requirements are basically what the software system is supposed to do, is number one cause for failure. So if you don't do requirements correctly, basically the entire system will fail. So that's what he said. All right, you guys know this. And moreover, he said, why do we then have to build really excellent requirements? I just want to show two studies that have been done. One is called the customer satisfaction rate, Goldman Beaver study. Basically, he studied from different projects. He examined 39 projects, and if the requirements are very well, so then customer really satisfied. Obviously, that makes sense. Requirements are good. That means the software system does what it's supposed to do. And there are 30 projects were successful because requirements were built very well. Not only that, the cost, if you build the requirements very well, the cost will be actually lower, much lower than if you don't have requirements. So these two things are really important for developing a software. That your customers has they come back, right? The customer have to satisfy so they can come back and build additional softwares with your company. And the cost you want to have as low as possible. So this is why this is really important that we have really good requirements. So we'll look at these studies also next semester as well. There is the cost. If you look at the picture here, so there has been study again. So the cost correct and defect. Right? So here normalized, assuming that if you detect the defects during the requirements phase, while we're trying to figure out what the system is supposed to do. So that's cost one, right? 1 unit. And if you find the same defect, okay, during the specification phase, when you're writing the requirements, the cost is 2, so doubles already. But if you find the same defect during the design phase, that is trying to figure out what kind of components you need to build, what is architecture, so the cost goes 6-fold, right? So you can see already if you find defect 1 versus 6. Now, if you find the same defect during the implementation phase, that is during the testing and writing the code, the cost is 20-fold. Right? So think about a big project which costs like $1 million or more. And if you find the same defect during the development phase, that is during writing code, it's $20 million already, right? And that's not all. If you find the same defect during the maintenance phase, so maintenance meaning when people are using the system and your user finds out there is a bug in your system and they complain about the defect, and then you have to fix that one. Then there is no limit to the cost, actually, depending on what kind of system you have. So anywhere between 60 to 200 times. So this particular picture says to you, then the sooner you find defect, right, the cost will be lower. So this picture tells you why it's really important trying to find defect during the requirements phase rather than later. So you'll be studying during the 541 course how to build excellent requirements so the cost gets lower and customer satisfied. That will be the main goal of this project, this course. So again, in this course, you will mainly learn how to establish excellent requirements of software, so the foundation. And also, do we say it's requirement? Probably you heard the term requirement engineering. We heard the term software engineering. There's actually a term called requirement engineering. We like to engineer requirements. Okay. So typically, there are 4 processes trying to the requirement engineering. You call it elaboration. Basically talking to your customers, how to figure out what needs are. And then we have to analyze that, what the requirements are. And we just specify exactly which becomes contract between the customer and developer. And we need to verify that. So these 4 steps are called requirement engineering. So you'll learn about what to do during each step. And also, requirements do change. If you look at the DoD, U.S. government's projects, 1960s and 70s, Carmish Conference, 1968. So you'll see that there will be changes, especially governments, a lot of changes, right? So then you cannot insist because you build this way, will not accommodate it. So you have to accommodate it. That is, we need to manage requirements. So that's another part. There's 5 steps or 4+1. Elaboration, analysis, specification, verification, and the management. So these are 5 things that you have to do during the requirements phase. And there are certain forms, standards they have to use to develop these things. Typical IEEE standards and ISO, they define what the exact form is supposed to look like. And we're going to learn those as well. So these are 4+1 with IEEE standard. Okay. This would you'll be learning. So required text is Rieger's book. I don't think he'd come out with 4th edition yet, but I'm looking for it. And then there will be IEEE standard, the textbook, and I provide a lot of online papers. Which, since you're grad students, I assume that you would be able to read papers and so then collect what the main informations are. There are some papers that I'll be providing you. So you need to read those. And so again, other online materials needed. All right, any questions so far regarding the product course itself? Good. So good. All right, that's good. All right, so let's go into the coursework itself. So the course consists of three things mainly. First thing is exam. Obviously, you have to take exam. So there are two exams. One is midterm, which is 20%, and final exam 30%. So I'll talk more about it next week. So I'm not gonna really go in details, but we'll be using there is the exam feature canvas. We'll be using that one, and I'll give you exact instruction what to do for the exams. Right, so you shouldn't worry too much about that. All right. So second, this is more important, the term projects. So we'll have a group project. Typically the size is 3 or 4. So it's actually a lot of writings. Agile methodology, which is supposed to not write a lot, but we still have to write papers, especially if it's a government project. So, so typical projects is about anywhere between 80 to 100 pages. So a lot of writings. Therefore, group size 3 to 4. But if you somehow have reason why you should have 5, or then let me know that I can. If you write reasons why you want to have 5, then I'll look at the reasons and approve that. But so but typical size 3 to 4, this should be sufficient. Anywhere each person writes 20 to 30 pages, this should be sufficient. So again, the project is SRS, is software requirements specification document based on IEEE standard. I'll give you exactly what the standard looks like later throughout the semester. I'll explain those, what you need to do. And there's late turning policies. I want you to look at that later. Then lastly, the participation is so since it's an online course, I don't see you guys today. After today, probably you'll be somewhere in space. I'm not going to see you anymore. So the way I can see your participation to the class is you participate in these things. So this is kind of a more personal thing, not the group project, right? So first part is chapter summaries. Some people hate this, but anyway, I force you to do this. Force you. Okay, so you have to write a chapter summaries. We're going to cover probably 25 chapters. So there's a lot of chapters. So if you read a chapter, you should write at least 2 things, important concepts of the chapter, or what this chapter talks about. And the more important for me is your thoughts about this chapter. What do you think about this chapter? That's different. I mean, there are a lot of things outside, so you can just copy and paste. I don't know what the content was. I mean, everyone can do it. But if you write your own ideas, your own experiences, own inspirations, whatever that is, then I can see then it's different, should be different, right? Everybody the same thing. There must be something going on here. So that's part 2 is really important. And there's also late turning policy. And also discussion boards. So you have to participate discussion boards, the forum. And your ideas, what you read about the paper. So anything related to this particular chapter, you need to write 1 posting per chapter. So there's deadline for discussion boards. So we'll talk more about it. So again, here's the grading policy. This is important because you guys want to get all A's, I'm sure. So midterm 20 class participation, 2 parts, chapter summary 10, board discussions 10, final exam 30, and term projects 30%. So unless you really want to get B, then you'll get B, but usually you should get better. Okay, so I try to give you as much leeway as I can. Just I know it's an online course, and some of you are returning back to school and you're a bit anxious and all this. So I understand that, especially first course, you need to get into the mode again. So the grade policy is if you have 90% above, at least A minus. That means if you have 90% or above, you get at least A minus or better, depending on. I have a little leeway there. So if you get 90%, I may give an A rather than A minus. So a little bit higher than whatever I write here. So same thing with if you have 80 or above, it could be minus. At least that means get better. So that's a grading policy. So in order to succeed this program, so you should, first of all, I put it the course syllabus and especially important course calendar. Because it describes everything we need to do in each way. Since it's again, online course is really important that you look at the course calendar. I remind you constantly what you have to turn in, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know, since I'm sending out, I'm not getting each person's affirmation. I don't know what you're doing. So it's really important to look at the course calendar and see you have to do the work, right? So it describes the activities you need to perform along the due dates each semester. And I highly recommend you print it out or put it into your iPhone and look at it, constantly look at it. Each Sunday, typically, you need to turn in. So look at it, what I have to turn in this week with this. But I'll send you email constantly, turn in. So in case you miss something. Then you need to read the prescribed chapters each book, each week, and use the presentation slides and recordings as for your references. And you need to typically turn in the your discussions and also chapter summaries. And you need to take midterm exam and final exam and term projects. So those are things here. So again, 3 things, right? Exams, participation, and projects. Oh, okay. So I mean these days all of us probably took online courses before, but when we started like 20 some years ago, their online classes are really rare. So I put in this one, but if you know this already, so you can just ignore it. But online classes are obviously different from in-class lectures because there is no formal meetings, no face-to-face meetings. So we'll be using LMS. There is the Canvas as main medium, communication medium, emails and solutions. Basically, other tools will be used, chats mostly. So there are advantages and disadvantages of online course. You guys all know this. I don't want to bother with that again. So make sure that you check your emails or Canvas. If I put something on Canvas, typically it sends out to your email accounts. At least check in twice or 3 times a week. Please read my messages there. Important, right? Some people just ignore it. You can do that too if you want to get B or C or whatever. But you should read them, right? It's important. So make sure you check your emails and log in to your online account at least once a day would be great, but all possible at least 2 or 3 times a week at least. If you have any questions, please send me an email or forum. I have office hours, online office hours. You can check in there and so talk to me. Please join my office. I don't have candies. I cannot give you candies, but for my in-class students, I have a lot of candies. So I encourage them to come to my office. So I have a lot of goodies there. But for you, it's a little bit difficult to give you goodies. I cannot transmit that.
Mail them to us.
I can mail that. Yeah. Give me your email, not email, but your physical address, and I can send you something. PO boxes. Okay. All right. So that's it. What I have now. So I'll be putting something on this Sunday. So I'll send out email. Please look for my email. No questions. Hey, I must be really good.
Yeah.
Or really bad. One of the 2. Okay. Any questions from here? Yeah.
For the chapter summaries,
Mhm.
Do those need to be like full sentences or can they be like bullet points?
Okay. So that typically it can be both ways. Yeah, it doesn't have to be. I want actually writing out in sentences, but if you have just it looks like more chapter summaries rather than if you just bullet form, you could just cut and paste and just put it there. So, but you're a grad students here to learn things, right? You don't cut and paste, right? So I trust you guys. Okay. Yeah.
Dr. James, thank you. Regarding the group project,
Okay.
in what instances have you ever allowed a 5th person into a group?
Okay, so since you're starting now, it's a little bit more difficult, but sometimes in other classes, they do have they allow a bigger size. So like 544, I believe they can have size of 5 or 6.
So have you ever had it under?
Yeah.
You've had
Yeah.
brought
So
it under your-
someone said, okay, we're doing this particular class with 5 people. Can we do this?
Mhm.
So I look at it typically, okay.
Oh.
So we're
That's
trying to be not too strict because it's online. I know you guys are working hard in all these things. We know what the problems are. So we're trying to accommodate as much as you can, as Dr. Fong mentioned. So that's our goal, is you guys succeed here and get out and make a lot of money, right? So that's what we want. So succeed here. So we don't want to unnecessarily put the hindrance there, so you cannot graduate, whatever. So if there's any problem, talk to Dr. Fong. And with respect to this class, please, write an email. I'll try to do whatever I can. We're here to help you guys.
Crybaby got milk. Never heard last.
What is that?
A crybaby got milk.
Cry baby got milk. Yeah, you have to cry. Okay. What is that?
5:21 I don't see it.
So it will be available starting this Sunday. Because the semester started today,
Yes.
but for our course, it starts Monday. So I'm gonna put something on this Sunday. Then I'm gonna send out email probably Sunday afternoon saying that this is available. So then you can log in and get all the course materials, especially read course syllabus and the schedule. Schedule is really important. If you miss schedule deadlines, obviously it's really bad. Isn't it? Okay. Anything else? All right. See you soon. Take care.